Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your daily dose of English, where learning English is easy, practical, and super fun. I'm Tom.
And I'm Sarah. Hello, Tom, and hello to all our wonderful listeners out there. How are you today, Tom?
I'm doing fantastic, Sarah. Thank you. And I'm really excited about today's topic because it's something that literally everyone talks about every single day. How about you? How are you feeling today?
I'm great, Tom. I'm feeling energized and ready to dive into this episode. And you're right about our topic. It's one of those things that connects people everywhere, no matter where you're from or what language you speak.
Exactly. Today we're talking about the weather. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. The weather? Really? That sounds boring. But trust me, by the end of this episode, you'll understand why weather talk is actually one of the most powerful tools in your English communication toolkit.
That's so true, Tom. The weather is the number one conversation starter in English-speaking countries. It's safe, it's universal, and it's something everyone can relate to. Whether you're meeting a new colleague, chatting with a neighbour, or making small talk in an elevator, the weather is your best friend.
Absolutely. And before we jump into all the amazing phrases and expressions we're going to teach you today, we have a small request. If you're enjoying your daily dose of English, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Hit that subscribe button.
Yes, please do. And give this episode a like. It really helps us reach more English learners around the world. And if you know someone who's learning English, share this episode with them. We're all in this journey together.
Perfect. Now, Sarah, let me ask you a question. Why do you think English speakers talk about the weather so much? Like, is it really that interesting to discuss if it's sunny or cloudy?
That's a great question, Tom. The truth is, it's not really about the weather itself. It's about connection. When you comment on the weather, you're creating a comfortable, neutral space to start a conversation. You're showing that you're friendly and open to chatting.
Exactly. It's a social tool. In English-speaking cultures, especially in places like the UK, the US, Canada and Australia, weather small talk is almost like a ritual. It's how we break the ice, fill awkward silences, and show politeness.
And the beauty of it is that it requires zero personal information. You don't need to know anything about the person. You don't need to share anything too personal. You just look outside, make an observation, and boom, you've started a conversation.
So true. Now let's get practical. Let's talk about the most common and useful weather expressions that you can use every single day. Sarah, let's start with the basics. How do we describe different types of weather?
Great idea. Let's begin with sunny weather, because everyone loves a beautiful, sunny day. If the sun is shining brightly, you can say, "It's sunny today," or "It's a beautiful day," or "What a gorgeous day." These are all positive, cheerful ways to describe good weather.
I love those. And you can also say, "The sun is out," or "It's bright and sunny." If you want to be more enthusiastic, you might say, "It's absolutely stunning outside," or "We couldn't ask for better weather."
Those are perfect. Now, what about when there are clouds? If the sky is covered with clouds, we say, "It's cloudy today," or "It's a bit overcast." Overcast is a great word that means the sky is completely covered with clouds, but it's not raining yet.
Yes, overcast is very useful. You might hear someone say, "It's a bit grey today," or "The sky is pretty cloudy." And if it looks like it might rain soon, you can say, "It looks like rain," or I think it's going to rain.
Exactly. And speaking of rain, let's talk about rainy weather. This is super common, especially in places like London or Seattle. If it's raining, you can simply say, "It's raining," or "It's a rainy day."
Right, but there are different levels of rain, and English has specific words for each. If it's raining just a little bit, very lightly, we say it's drizzling, or there's a light drizzle. Drizzle is that very fine, light rain.
Yes, drizzle is such a useful word. But if it's raining really hard, with big drops coming down fast, we say it's pouring, or it's pouring rain, or my favourite, it's raining cats and dogs.
Ha! Raining cats and dogs. I love that expression. It's a funny idiom that means it's raining extremely heavily. You might also hear it's bucketing down in British English, or it's coming down in sheets, which means the rain is so heavy it looks like sheets of water.
Those are brilliant. And if there's a storm with thunder and lightning, we say there's a thunderstorm, or it's stormy outside. You might hear someone say, "Did you hear that thunder?" Or "That lightning was so bright."
Storms are exciting but can be a bit scary. Now let's talk about temperature. How do we describe if it's hot or cold? Sarah, what would you say on a really hot day?
On a hot day, I might say, "It's hot today," or "It's really warm," or if it's extremely hot, "It's boiling," or "It's scorching hot." Those last two are more dramatic and show that it's uncomfortably hot.
Yes, and in American English you might hear it's sweltering, which means it's hot and humid, making you sweat. Or people might say it's a real scorcher today, meaning it's an extremely hot day.
Great examples. Now, what about cold weather? If it's cold, you can say, "It's cold today," or "It's chilly," which means it's a bit cold, not freezing, but cool enough that you need a jacket.
Right. And if it's extremely cold, you can say it's freezing, or it's freezing cold, or it's absolutely frozen outside. You might also hear it's bitter cold, which emphasises how unpleasant and harsh the cold feels.
Yes, and don't forget about snow. If it's snowing, we say, "It's snowing," or "It's a snowy day." You might also hear, "We got snow last night," or "There's snow on the ground."
And if there's a big snowstorm with lots of wind, we call it a blizzard. You might hear someone say, "There's a blizzard warning," or "We're expecting a blizzard this weekend."
Perfect. Now, let's talk about wind, because wind is another important weather element. If there's wind, we say, "It's windy today," or "There's a strong wind." If it's just a little wind, you might say, "There's a light breeze," or "It's breezy."
Yes, a breeze is a gentle, pleasant wind. But if the wind is very strong and maybe a bit uncomfortable, you might say it's really gusty, or the wind is howling, which creates a dramatic picture of loud, strong wind.
Excellent. Now, Tom, we've covered lots of weather vocabulary, but how do we actually use these in real conversations? Can you give us some practical examples?
Absolutely. Let's imagine some real-life scenarios. Picture this. You're in an elevator with a colleague. It's Monday morning and you want to be friendly. You could say, "Beautiful weather we're having, isn't it?" Or "Lovely day outside."
Perfect. And your colleague might respond, "Yes, it is. Finally, some sunshine." Or, "I know, it's gorgeous. Makes you want to be outside. See how easy that is?" You've started a pleasant, low-pressure conversation.
Exactly. Here's another scenario. You're meeting a client for the first time, and there's that slightly awkward moment before you sit down to talk business. You could say, Did you have any trouble getting here with all this rain?
That's brilliant because it serves two purposes. You're making small talk about the weather and you're showing concern for their journey. They might say, "No, it wasn't too bad, just had to drive carefully," or "Actually, the traffic was terrible because of the weather."
And just like that, you've broken the ice and created a comfortable atmosphere. Now let's talk about some really common weather phrases and expressions that native speakers use all the time. Sarah, can you start us off?
Sure. One phrase you'll hear constantly is, "What's the weather like?" This is how we ask about the weather. Someone might call you from another city and say, "What's the weather like there?" And you'd respond with the current conditions.
Right. And a very common question is, what's the forecast? Or, what's the weather forecast for tomorrow? The forecast is the prediction of what the weather will be like in the future.
Yes, and you might hear people say, "I checked the forecast and it's supposed to rain tomorrow," or "The forecast says it will be sunny all week." This is very practical conversation, especially when making plans.
Absolutely. Here's another common one. Looks like rain. This means the sky looks like it might rain soon. You're making a prediction based on what you see. Dark clouds, wind picking up. Looks like rain.
That's a great casual phrase. Another one is, "It's clearing up," which means the clouds are going away and the weather is getting better. Or you might say, "It's clouding over," which is the opposite. Clouds are covering the sky.
Yes, those are super useful. Now here's a fun one that you'll hear in British English especially. It's a bit nippy, or there's a nip in the air. This means it's cold, but in a charming, understated British way.
I love that one. It's so British. And speaking of understated, British people are famous for this. You might hear, "It's not bad out," which actually means the weather is quite good. It's a typical British understatement.
Ha, yes. Americans are usually more direct. We might say, "It's awesome out," or "perfect weather." But I love the British subtlety. Another phrase you'll hear is, "make hay while the sun shines," which is an idiom meaning take advantage of good conditions while you can.
That's a beautiful idiom. It comes from farming. You need sunny weather to dry hay, but now it's used more generally. If someone says, "It's finally nice out, let's make hay while the sun shines," they mean let's enjoy it while it lasts.
Exactly. Now let's talk about how weather affects our plans and what we say about it. If the weather ruins your plans, you might say, "We got rained out," which means your outdoor activity was cancelled because of rain.
Yes, or you might say, "The game was called off due to weather," or "We had to cancel the picnic because of the storm." Weather is a very common reason for changing plans, so these phrases are practical.
Absolutely. And here's a positive one. If the weather is perfect for your plans, you might say, "We lucked out with the weather," meaning you were lucky to have good weather.
That's great. Or you might hear, "We couldn't have asked for better weather," or "The weather was perfect for the wedding." These show appreciation when weather cooperates with your plans.
Now, Sarah, let's talk about some weather idioms because English has so many colourful expressions related to weather that aren't really about weather at all.
Oh, I love this part. Weather idioms are everywhere in English. Let's start with a famous one. Under the weather. If someone says, "I'm feeling a bit under the weather," they mean they're feeling sick or unwell. It has nothing to do with actual weather.
That's right. It's believed to come from sailors who would go below deck when they felt seasick. Another common one is break the ice, which means to start a conversation or make people feel comfortable in a social situation. Funny enough, we've been breaking the ice with weather talk this whole episode.
Perfect connection. Another one is every cloud has a silver lining, which means there's something positive in every negative situation. Even when things seem bad, like a cloudy day, there's a bright side.
That's a beautiful, optimistic idiom. Here's another. A storm in a teacup, or in American English, a tempest in a teapot. This means a lot of fuss or anger about something that's not really important. Someone's making a big deal out of nothing.
Yes, it's like saying, "Why are you so upset?" It's just a storm in a teacup. And speaking of storms, we have weather the storm, which means to get through a difficult period. Like, the company weathered the storm of the economic crisis.
Great example. And one more. Steal someone's thunder means to take credit for someone else's achievement or to take attention away from them. It's not about actual thunder, but about taking someone's moment of glory.
These idioms are so rich and colourful. They show how deeply weather is woven into the English language and culture. Now, Tom, let's do something fun. Let's role play a few weather conversations so our listeners can hear how this all comes together naturally.
I love that idea. Okay, let's imagine we're neighbours who run into each other while checking the mail. I'll start. Hey, Sarah, how are you doing?
Oh, hi Tom, I'm doing well, thanks. Beautiful day, isn't it?
It really is. We've been so lucky with the weather lately. Not a cloud in the sky.
I know. I was just thinking I should take advantage of it and go for a walk before it gets too hot.
That's a great idea. It's supposed to reach 30 degrees today, according to the forecast.
Wow, that warm? I'd better go soon then. Catch you later, Tom.
Enjoy your walk, Sarah. See everyone. That was natural, friendly and comfortable. Weather talk made the interaction smooth and pleasant.
Perfect example. Now, let's try another scenario. We're colleagues in the office on a Monday morning. Tom, why don't you start this one?
Morning, Sarah. How was your weekend?
It was nice, thanks. We had planned to have a barbecue on Saturday, but we got rained out.
Oh no. Yeah, Saturday was pretty miserable, wasn't it? It was pouring all afternoon.
It was. We ended up just staying in and watching movies. But Sunday made up for it. Gorgeous sunshine.
Sunday was incredible. We went hiking and the weather couldn't have been better. Blue skies, light breeze, not too hot.
That sounds perfect. I wish I'd gotten out then instead of Saturday. Oh well, live and learn.
And there we go. That conversation flowed naturally, showed empathy about the rain-ruining plans, and shared positive experiences about the good weather. This is exactly how native speakers talk.
Exactly. And notice how the weather conversation led to talking about weekend activities. That's often how it works. Weather is the opener, then you move on to other topics. It's a bridge.
Absolutely. Now let's give our listeners some practical tips for using weather talk effectively. Sarah, what's your first tip?
My first tip is to pay attention to the weather every day. When you wake up, look outside. Is it sunny, cloudy, raining? This simple habit gives you something to talk about and helps you practice thinking in English about what you see.
That's excellent advice. My tip is to check the weather forecast in English. There are so many apps and websites. When you check the weather, you'll see phrases like partly cloudy, chance of rain, high of 25 degrees. This builds your weather vocabulary naturally.
Great tip. Here's mine. Listen to how native speakers talk about weather in movies, TV shows, or podcasts. You'll notice it comes up in almost every casual conversation. Pay attention to the phrases they use and how they transition from weather talk to other topics.
Perfect. And here's a practical one. Don't overthink it. Weather talk doesn't have to be deep or interesting. It's meant to be simple and easy. A basic nice day, isn't it? Is perfectly fine and does the job.
That's so important. Sometimes learners worry too much about being interesting, but weather talk is supposed to be simple and comfortable. It's not a presentation, it's just a friendly comment.
Exactly. And here's my last tip. Practice with question tags. Question tags are those little questions at the end of statements like, nice day, isn't it? Or, cold out, isn't it? These make your weather comments more conversational and inviting.
Question tags are brilliant for weather talk because they invite the other person to agree and respond. It turns your statement into a mini conversation starter.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about cultural differences because weather talk varies a bit depending on where you are in the English-speaking world.
That's a great point. In the UK, weather talk is absolutely everywhere. British people are famous for talking about the weather constantly. It's almost a national obsession because the weather in Britain changes so frequently.
Yes, you might walk outside to sunshine, encounter rain 10 minutes later, then see sunshine again. So weather is always a safe, relevant topic. British people will apologise for bad weather, even though it's not their fault.
That's so true. You'll hear, sorry about the rain, as if they personally caused it. In the US, weather talk is also very common, especially in certain regions. The Midwest talks a lot about harsh winters and tornadoes. The South talks about heat and hurricanes.
Right, and in Canada, winter weather is a huge topic. Australians love talking about beach weather and those scorching summer days. Each place has its weather personality, which makes weather talk even more interesting and regionally specific.
Absolutely, and no matter where you are, weather talk is a sign of friendliness and approachability. It shows you're open to conversation without being intrusive or too personal.
Well said. Now, Sarah, I think we've covered a tremendous amount about weather talk today. We've gone through vocabulary, phrases, idioms, practical scenarios, and cultural insights. Our listeners should feel really confident about discussing the weather in English now.
I completely agree, Tom. And remember, everyone, the weather is your friend when it comes to English conversation. Don't be shy about using these phrases. They work in so many situations. At work, with strangers, with friends, anywhere.
Absolutely. And practice makes perfect. Or in this case, practice makes comfortable. The more you use weather talk, the more natural it will feel, and the more confident you'll become in starting conversations in English.
That's the perfect way to put it. And we want to hear from you, our amazing listeners. We have a question for you today.
Yes, here's your homework, and we'd love to see your answers in the comments below. Tell us, what's the weather like where you are right now? Describe it using some of the phrases we taught you today.
Is it sunny, rainy, cloudy, freezing, boiling? Use your new vocabulary and write a sentence or two in the comments. We'll read every single one, and it's great practice for you.
And while you're down there in the comments, please tell us if you found this episode helpful. We love hearing from you. Your feedback helps us create better content for English learners everywhere.
Yes, and don't forget to subscribe to Your Daily Dose of English if you haven't already. We release new episodes regularly, covering practical English topics that you can use in your everyday life.
And give this episode a thumbs up, a like. It really helps us reach more learners, and it lets us know you enjoyed the content. Share it with your friends, your family, anyone who's learning English.
Thank you all so much for spending your time with us today. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Learning English is a journey, and we're honoured to be part of yours.
Keep practicing, keep learning, and remember, next time you meet someone and don't know what to say, just look outside and talk about the weather. It's that simple.
Perfect advice, Tom. Until next time, everyone, keep improving your English one conversation at a time.
Stay curious, stay motivated, and we'll see you in the next episode of your Daily Dose of English. Bye for now.
Goodbye, everyone. Take care and enjoy the weather wherever you are.